Is your home an asset or is it a liability? There's a lot of debate on this, and I think most people would look at their house as an asset, but I'm actually going to tell you why I and Robert Kiyosaki believes that your home is actually a liability. And my challenge to you is I think once you hear what I'm about to say, you're going to agree with me. So dive in and I'll see you at the end. Hey, what's going on, cash flow hackers? It's Chris with Life 180, and we are continuing the series for understanding your money. And today we are talking about assets versus liabilities. And what is the difference? This is going to be a really quick video. It's really simple. Assets are things that are producing revenue in your life, that produce value in your life. Liabilities are burdensome in your life. And this is one of the reasons that I'm going to utilize this example. Once again, I'm not going to get super deep into this. I want to keep it surface level. I'm going to talk about this deeper as we get into other topics, because all these things, as you get into this, you're going to see they all start to weave together. But this is one of the reasons that Robert Kiyosaki says that your home is not an investment. Your home is a liability. And the reason is because he says your home has expenses. It has taxes, upkeep, right? So think about it this way. No matter what, you could have your house paid off. First of all, an investment requires participation in that to be able to get a return on it, right? Meaning, if I want to get a return by investing in a stock, I have to invest my money. I have to take that money and put it in there. Without having my money in that stock and physically buying those stocks, right? Without doing that, then I'm not going to get that return, right? If I go and I don't buy the stocks, I'm not going to get that return. That money is just going to sit dormant somewhere, right? So that's, for an investment, it requires that your money be in it for a return. With your home, think about it this way. If I have a house that's worth, $400,000, and I have it full mortgage, and then I have a house that's worth $400,000, and I have it paid for cash, is that house going to go up or down in value any differently, assuming it's the identical house in the identical neighborhood in the identical community, like town, state, everything? Is that house value? It's the same house. The only difference is the way it's paid for. One is fully mortgaged, one is paid cash. Is the value of that house going to go up year 1, year 10? Are they going to be worth any different based on whether I have it fully mortgaged or fully paid for? The answer is no. That house is going to go up or down in value as an asset. I'm not saying it's not an asset of some way, but it's not an investment, right? So when we look at this, it's not going to go up or down in value regardless of how we have it paid for. And so that's why he says it's a liability, because that's one of the reasons why Robert Kiyosaki says it's a liability, is because it's not a good place to store your money, right? Because when you have your money in there, you lose control of that money, right? And I've got other videos. Once again, I've got how to pay your house, how to buy a house, the most effective way to buy a house. I'll put a link up here, and I'll actually put it on the end screen, so you can go check that video out. I think it'll be really helpful. But you also have taxes that are going to cost you money, even if the house is paid off. You have holding costs. Things go wrong with our houses. Let's face it. If I've got my house here, it's really nice. I'm on a golf course. I got a cul-de-sac. I got a pool. It was built in 1998. I just had to replace an air conditioner. I got another air conditioner that's going. I just had to replace a pool pump. I've got my pool deck needs to be redone. I got my roof is going to be redoing. Our neighborhood as a whole, a lot of the neighbors are redoing the roofs right now. We have all the tile roofs here in Arizona. A lot of golf balls hit my house all the time because I'm right on the corner of a golf course. My pool is going to need to be redone. All this stuff. There's upkeep that goes with the house. My internal, my cabinets, my countertops, my flooring, my furniture, everything in my house. If I don't upgrade all this, if I don't spend money for upkeep and upgrades, what's going to happen to my house? It's going to go down in value. It's not going to hold its value, right? And therefore, that makes it a liability, right? And so now, assets versus liabilities. Is it an asset? Well, if it's worth money, how I pay for it, I can make it an asset, but it's not an investment. So assets are ultimately things, the way I look at it, when I'm thinking about it from this perspective, I'm thinking of assets are elements in our life, are things in our life that we put our money into that are producing cash flow, producing return, that we can compound the investment in those things into producing more cash flow, into producing a faster result in our life, into producing more cash flow, faster freedom, more control, all these different things. That's what it's all about. Liabilities put stress on our finances. They take us away from our goals. When you put money into assets, it helps you get closer to your goals. When you put money into liabilities, it takes either more time or pulls you away from your goals. That's really what it comes down to. And this one thing, because I think a lot of people, I'm using the home and Robert Kiyosaki's example of talking about assets versus liabilities, and the fact that your home, well, it may be an asset, it's not an investment. And I think most people think of investments as assets, and that's why I try to like correlate those two things together. Your home is not an investment, right? I want you to think about assets as investments. That's it, right? Like my car, my Jeep, is it an asset? Well, if you go back to my video on net worth statements, we talked about assets versus liabilities. Your net worth is your assets minus liabilities, right? So, and I want to talk about that because we're taking this to the next level right now. So net worth, I'm going to just recap that a little bit. So net worth is assets, liabilities, right? So if you remember, you do this T-chart, and the assets is like, whatever, I have $500,000 in assets, hypothetically, and $400,000 in liabilities. So therefore, I minus it out, and I have $100,000 of net worth, right? That's how that works, right? So over in this $500,000 of assets, maybe my Jeep is worth $25K, and I owe $10K on it, hypothetically, right? So if that's the case, well, that's $15,000 in net worth. But is that really, like, does that really work as an asset? Not from a wealth creation perspective. So this is where this stuff gets a little complicated, right? Like when you start breaking it down. So when you talk to people about assets versus liabilities, I want you to be thinking about an asset as an investment, something that's going to produce more cash flow in your life. And when you can think about it in those terms, it eliminates all the other noise, right? Like it eliminates all the noise, and it helps you make better decisions that are going to help you get to your goals faster. And it's that simple, right? It doesn't need to be more complicated than that. In fact, I will argue if it is more complicated than that, you need to rethink it. We need to start thinking about personal finance from the perspective of, does it make sense to a 10-year-old, right? And listen, I know I'm not always the best at that because I think very high level, and sometimes it's hard, but that's one of the reasons I'm doing this series. Yeah, I want to add value to you, but I've honestly done it for myself to figure out, how do I communicate this stuff better? Because I know if everybody understood what I know, everybody'd be doing what I'm talking about. But I know you're not there if you're not doing what I'm talking about, because you just don't understand all the stuff to this level. So that's why I'm doing this. And for me, it's a good process. The best way to learn is to teach, right? Like, so I'm trying to teach you to figure out how to communicate it better. How do I take this stuff and break it down into its simplest parts and make it digestible for you? And so hopefully this makes sense. If you have any questions about it, comment in the comment section below, share this with somebody, and I promise you, if they subscribe, hit the bell, and you do the same thing over the next couple weeks as I keep this series going, the value that I'm giving and the information, I'm going to keep stacking this onto, information on top of each other in digestible 10-minute or so or less kind of bites. And it's really, man, I really think it's going to serve you. And hopefully with this economic environment that we're going into, it's going to help you get to where you want to go in a more predictable fashion. So anyway, that's it. Until next video, have a blessed, inspirational day. We'll talk soon. See ya.